We treat these machines as if they are disposable, mere tools that serve a purpose until they slow down or break. But inside this shattered screen and dented casing lies a complex history of geology, labor, and human connection. To understand where we are going, we have to understand the journey of the materials trapped inside this plastic shell. This phone was once a mountain in Chile, a riverbed in Africa, and a sand dune in Australia. Miners dug deep into the crust of the earth to find the copper, the gold, and the silicon needed to make it think. Now, after only 2 years of use, it has been cast aside, destined for a journey that few people ever witness. Most electronics end up in landfills, leaking their toxic secrets into the soil and poisoning the water we drink. But this device is lucky, because it has arrived at a sanctuary designed to reverse the damage we have done. The truck backs into the loading bay with a heavy, mechanical sigh, its tires crunching over the debris of the industrial yard. Inside its metal belly lies the discarded history of 1,000 different lives, piled high in a chaotic mountain of wires and glass. As the rear doors swing open, an avalanche of gray and black plastic tumbles out onto the concrete floor. It looks like garbage to the untrained eye, but the people working here see something entirely different. To them, this is not waste. It is a high-grade ore richer than any gold mine currently operating in nature. They call this place the urban mine, a factory where the earth is not dug up, but rather, the past is broken down. The air inside the facility is thick with the smell of dust, ozone, and the faint, acrid scent of old electronics. It is a cathedral of noise, where the hum of conveyor belts competes with the crashing sound of falling metal. The first step in this resurrection is not done by a machine but by the careful hands of a human being. Workers stand along a fast-moving belt, their eyes scanning the stream of trash with the intensity of diamond cutters. They are looking for the hidden dangers that machines are too blind to see, the silent killers tucked inside our gadgets. A swollen lithium-ion battery is a ticking time bomb, capable of sparking a fire that could consume the entire building. With surgical precision, a worker in heavy gloves snatches a battery from a crushed laptop and sets it aside safely. This manual labor is the firewall between a safe recycling process and a catastrophic industrial disaster. Once the dangerous elements are removed, the true violence of the process can finally begin. The electronics are pushed toward the mouth of a massive shredder, a beast with rotating steel teeth. These shredders are designed to show no mercy, chewing through steel casings and aluminum frames as if they were paper. The sound is deafening, a screaming tear of metal that represents the destruction of millions of memories. Think about the photos stored on those hard drives, the love letters typed on those keyboards, and the music played through those speakers. In a fraction of a second, all that digital life is obliterated, turned into unrecognizable shards of confetti. It feels tragic to watch, like witnessing the burning of a library, but this destruction is necessary for creation. The machine does not care about the data. It only cares about the atoms and elements that make up the structure. Out the other side comes a river of mixed materials, a chaotic blend of plastic, steel, copper, and glass. It looks like gray gravel, a worthless pile of dust, but this is where the science of separation begins. The conveyor belt moves this mixture under a series of powerful, rotating magnets that hum with invisible energy. Like magic, the steel fragments leap from the belt, pulled upward by the magnetic force and dropped into a separate bin. The steel is the skeleton of our devices, the strong frame that held everything together during its life. Now it is gathered to be melted down, perhaps to become a beam in a new skyscraper or the body of a new car. But the remaining mixture still holds the true treasure, the non-magnetic metals that are harder to catch. The stream enters an eddy current separator, a piece of technology that uses magnetic fields to repel aluminum and copper. You can watch the pieces of metal jump off the belt, shooting through the air like popcorn in a hot pan. It is a mechanical ballet, a sorting process that relies on the fundamental laws of physics to bring order to chaos. What remains on the belt is mostly plastic and circuit boards, the green hearts of our computers and phones. These circuit boards are the prize, the dense clusters of precious metals that make this entire operation profitable. They are collected and sent to a different part of the facility, a place that feels less like a factory and more like a laboratory. Here, the noise of the shredders fades away, replaced by the quiet bubbling of chemical tanks and the hiss of steam. This is the refinery, where the final and most delicate stage of the transformation takes place. The circuit boards are chopped into fine powder and introduced to a bath of acid or extreme heat. It is a dangerous environment, where workers wear protective suits that make them look like astronauts exploring a hostile planet. They are the alchemists of the modern age, turning the base metal of our trash into the gold of our desires. The chemicals dissolve the unwanted materials, leaving behind the pure, elemental metals that we value so highly. Gold, silver, palladium, and platinum begin to separate, falling out of the solution like heavy rain. It is hard to believe that the microscopic gold dust floating in that tank was once part of your SIM card. The tiny connections that allowed you to speak to someone on the other side of the world are now being gathered together. The dust is collected, dried, and placed into a crucible, a ceramic pot capable of withstanding the heat of a volcano. The furnace roars to life, raising the temperature to over 1000 degrees Celsius, turning the metal into liquid fire. A worker, face shielded by a dark visor, pours the glowing orange liquid into a cast iron mold. It flows like syrup, heavy and bright, radiating a heat that you can feel from across the room. As it cools, the orange glow fades, revealing the unmistakable, shimmering yellow surface of pure gold. This bar of gold is identical to one dug from the earth, yet its origin story is completely different. It carries no blood from a conflict zone, and it required no deforestation to bring it into the light. It is a guilt-free resource, harvested from the urban forest that we have all helped to plant. But the story of this factory is not just about the gold, it is about the plastic that remains. For decades, plastic was the enemy, a material that would sit in landfills for 1,000 years without decaying. Here, even the plastic casings of our old monitors and keyboards are given a second chance at relevance. They are sorted by color and type, using infrared cameras that can identify the chemical signature of each fragment. Black plastic goes one way, white goes another, and the colored pieces are separated into their own streams. They are melted down and extruded into long, thin noodles of plastic, which are then chopped into pellets. These pellets are the raw material for the next generation of manufacturing, ready to be molded into something new. Your old computer mouse might become the dashboard of a car, or the casing for a new medical device. Nothing in this facility is allowed to die. Everything is simply waiting for its next shape. It is a closed loop, a perfect circle that mimics the way nature reuses every fallen leaf and every drop of water. However, the existence of this factory also forces us to confront a difficult truth about ourselves. We are producing waste at a speed that these machines, no matter how efficient, can barely keep up with. For every truck that unloads here, there are 10 more dumping electronics into a hole in the ground somewhere else. We have become addicted to the new, conditioned to believe that a scratch on a screen renders a device useless. Walking through the warehouse, you see pallets stacked high with printers that probably still work. You see rows of televisions that were discarded simply because they weren't smart enough for the modern living room. The workers here witness the scale of our wastefulness every single day, and it changes the way they live. They hold on to their phones longer, they repair what is broken, and they understand the true cost of consumption. They know that the energy required to make a single laptop is immense, and throwing it away is an insult to that effort. This factory is not just a processing plant, it is a mirror reflecting our society's habits back at us. But there is also hope here, shining brightly in the gleaming bars of recovered metal and stacks of clean plastic. This place proves that we have the technology to solve the problems we have created, if we choose to use it. We don't need to tear down more mountains or pollute more rivers to get the materials we need for the future. The mines of the future are already in our cities, in our drawers, and in our pockets, waiting to be harvested. The gold bar cooling on the table is now solid, heavy and cold to the touch, ready to be sold back to the market. It might end up in a jewelry store, or perhaps inside the very next smartphone you decide to buy. And so, the cycle continues, an endless loop of creation, destruction, and resurrection. The device you are holding right now will one day make this same journey, traveling from your hand to the shredder. It will be crushed, separated, melted, and refined, until it is no longer a phone, but raw potential. It is a comforting thought that in a world of constant change, The materials we use are eternal. As the lights in the factory dim for the night, the machines finally fall silent, resting for a few hours. But the mountain of waste outside is still growing, waiting for the sun to rise so the work can begin again. This is the urban gold mine, a place where the end of the road is actually just the beginning. It reminds us that nothing is truly lost until we stop trying to find the value in it. The story of our waste is the story of us, and here, in the dust and the noise, we find a way to redeem ourselves. Because the greatest treasure isn't the gold bar, it's the realization that we can build a world that wastes nothing.